Well, hey guys, good to see you. I feel in some ways like it's been forever since I've seen you, and in other ways I feel like we just met. Time is flying. So good to see you guys. I don't think any of you are. Are any of you out in California where the fires are? I imagine if you're right there, you're not here today. But I'm wondering if anybody's in proximity. Doesn't look like it. Okay. Well, if you're watching this recording and you aren't here today because of the fires, my brain has been thinking about Southern California all day because we have a lot of Keller Williams friends and other brokerages as well, agents out there. So just know if you're watching this on recording, we are thinking of you today. So. All right, guys. Well, Happy New Year. While we are waiting to get started, which we'll do in just a second, I'd love to hear just real quick, what was a win from over your holidays? It doesn't have to be work related. I'm just curious, like what was something good that happened over your holidays? Lisa, go ahead.
I got engaged.
You did?
I don't have my ring on right now.
Congratulations.
Yes. And
Oh
we're
my
getting married
gosh.
on Saturday. So
Oh my gosh. Listen, your style, I think is going to be my style. I love that.
yeah,
That's
we've
a,
been together a really long
Lisa.
time.
what'd you say, Paul?
I said that's my kind of time frame.
Yeah.
Got engaged at the beginning of May and married at the beginning of July.
I love it. Y'all give me hope. When did you meet these people?
I met in college.
College? What about you, Lisa? If you don't mind.
9 years ago.
Okay, so
I
so
was like
a long time.
Yeah, I was in my late 40s when I met him.
Well, this is encouraging. I'm 42 and in the dating scene, and
Oh,
guys,
you're a
it's
baby.
rough out there.
That's a terrible time to be in the dating scene.
When is
Yeah.
it not a terrible time to be in the dating scene?
When is it not a terrible time? Yeah. Can I tell you something all that I think it's okay to say. It's just like, why would somebody do this? I matched with someone the other day, and you know how these dating apps are. Like I get on them and then I get off, and they're more just entertaining. And for a first message, somebody wrote and said, "Do you have any leather couches and do you walk around in bare feet?" And I'm like, what is wrong with our world today? Like, this is horrible. And it's hilarious because earlier today we were doing a training and it came up how lead gen and dating not really that far apart. Like you have to know when to ask the right questions, what questions to ask. You got to know what's too much too soon. Anyway, it's a world out there. So anyway, thanks for sharing your stories. That is actually encouraging. So also, I hit block. That's what I did when I saw that. I just hit the good old block button. One of the best dates I've been on was somebody that a friend went out with, and they did not connect, but she's like, he's actually a really good guy. You might connect with him, and even if you don't, he's just a really good person. It was one of my favorite dates ever. There was zero connection, but the whole time we realized we both have an album of our phone of screenshots of horrible dating app things. So the whole date we were like, look at this person. And we laughed and laughed. I've never talked to him since. It was seriously one of the most fun dates, just talking about the horribleness of the dating world.
Yeah, it sounds like a connection though.
No, it really wasn't. But we had a good time laughing at dating. That's what we did. So anyway, I hope y'all don't mind us starting off the call this way, but sometimes you just have to be a little silly. And so we're doing that. All right, well, let's jump in and actually get down to business. I think I have a fear in my head that Maps is going to see the transcript of me talking about leather couches and bare feet and be like, do over. You got to do that one over. Okay, let's go ahead and jump in. So today we're going to be talking about something I'm very passionate about. It has nothing to do with how to talk to leads, and it's all about your personal goals. So remember before the holidays, I said get clear on your income and figure out your budget. Do y'all remember this? Did you do it? I hope you did. Good. Lisa, yay. That's a good way to start a marriage. So you're getting married Saturday. Man, I'm really excited for you. You're going to have to show us pictures somehow. I love it. Okay. So what we want to do is kind of revisit the last call just because it has been a minute since we've seen each other. So just kind of do a flyover of what that was. And then the main thing we're going to do today is work on the economic model together. So let me go ahead and get us started, and then we'll jump into the economic model. And guys, look at the screen, session 15 of 18. Can you believe it? That is a little heartbreaking to me. And I'm excited for you to be almost through the program, and I'm sad because I can't believe it's going so fast. All right, well, here's your quick reminders. We don't really talk on these topics today, to be honest with you, but make sure that when you do call people that you are TCPA compliant. Do not call people on the do not call list. You guys could probably repeat this back to me at this point, right? So I think you know. So let's go ahead. And what I will say is real quick, if you haven't done it already, in the client portal, we put an economic model for you. I would strongly recommend printing that out if you haven't already. What we're going to do today, and please hear me when I say this, and I'll say it again when we get into it. Today, we're going to fill out an economic model together. I want us all filling out the same exact one with the same exact numbers. The goal of today is not for you to fill out your own personal economic model. The goal today is to teach you how to do it. And then when we hang up, you can do it, and it'll probably take you 15 minutes. But this is one of those things where I'm not trying to give you a fish. I'm trying to teach you how to fish. So I want to teach you how to do the economic model so you can just do it once a quarter and you know exactly what you're doing. So all that to say, print out the economic model. I recommend grabbing a pencil because math, we make mistakes. So we want a pencil, and then we'll do that together. All right, so objectives today, we're going to revisit the allocation form, and then we're going to complete the economic model together, again, as an example. And my whole goal here is to empower you to hit your goals. One of my favorite things to do with coaching clients where we're more one-on-one is get clarity at the beginning of that of how much money do you want to make and why. I'm about to get real passionate. I'm sure you're surprised. But I'm so over, like, we have to be doing what everybody else is doing. That person has this many transactions, so I need that many transactions. Or even I have to make more than I made last year. Maybe you do. I'm kind of wired that way because I'm competitive. And in the world of StrengthsFinder, if you know anything about StrengthsFinder, it's okay if you don't. I have this strength called Maximizer. What that means, if you don't know what that is, it's the idea of I need to constantly be improving. So the way that shows up in my business is even if I don't have a reason why, I just want to make more money than I made last year. But you know, that can actually get pretty exhausting if you're not careful, because that means I always have to do more, right? Like if I always want to make more than I made last year, I probably have to do more than I did last year. That might be okay at first, but man, you start compounding that year after year after year, you just become a workaholic if you're not careful. So I'm really passionate about helping people figure out how much money does it take for you to live the life that you want to live, not what the person beside you wants to do, what you want to do. And then what does it look like from a behavior standpoint in the workplace? Like how many people are you talking to and things like that to achieve the goal. Somebody say back to me what you just heard me say. I just want to make sure you heard me the way I meant to be heard.
We're going to go through basically how to calculate what you need for your goals. Don't try to keep up with the Joneses. Set your own goals. Live your own life.
Yep, exactly. One of the most rewarding coaching experiences I've had in the last 6 months was an agent who massively lowered her income goal. And she has since talked about how much more she's enjoying her life. And she was like exasperated. She goes, I don't even know why I had that goal. I think it's just because I was trying to do what everybody else was doing, but I don't actually want to live the life they have. My husband makes a good income. I really actually don't need to make that much money for us to do really wild things with our money. And she really lowered her goal and she's enjoying real estate for the first time in years. I love that. So, some of you have huge goals. I'm not knocking that, by the way. I personally have a huge goal. My goal, and I'll be honest, I don't know, like I know the numbers. It freaks me out. It really does. So if that's you, I'm right there with you. I have a huge goal, and my goal is that I earn enough that I could have the choice to not work if I don't want to by the time I'm 45, which is 3 years from now. That's one of my goals. And it's not because I don't want to work. I probably will always work because I want to put good out into the world. I don't see not working, but it's because I really have a heart for Africa after going there with Keller Williams 2 years ago. I spent 5 weeks in Africa, and I thought to myself, what would it look like to come live here for a year? Well, I need to not have to work if I want to do that. Like if I want to go volunteer in Africa, so you see what I mean? That's kind of what's driving it. It's not just, oh, I don't want to have to work. Do you know how much money I have to make in the next few years to do that by the time I'm 45? It freaks me out. And what was cool is when I did the math on a piece of paper, I thought it actually could happen. It could. And that's what I think is fun about this. So we'll see for all of us. We'll have to check in on each other in 3 years and see what we're doing. Hopefully I'm checking in from the African Sahara somewhere, but we'll see. Okay, so let's review. So this is a review from our last call, so it might look familiar to you. But it's that idea of who do you want to be in the next 12 months? You're a human being first. So that's when we talked about if you want to be generous, if you want to be present with your friends and family, if you want to be a parent who is at every basketball game, you know, what is it that you want to be, or who is it that you want to be? Then that feeds into what do you want to accomplish, right? So an example would be if I want to be at every basketball game, then the what might be that I work 8 to 4 every day as a real estate agent. Now that might sound crazy. And you know what? I know people that have a schedule like that. So they can be there with they just get done what they need to get done in the hours that they are working. And then you want to ask yourself, what made you choose those commitments, and are you clear? So if we were one-on-one, I would want to ask each one of you, how clear are you on your commitment and why? And I would also hope it's not just a nice, even number. Because from that's where you figured out your financials and what your goals are for the year. And if you remember, I said on our last webinar back in December, usually if you've really worked on that income goal, it's some weird number because it's tied to very specific things. Now, if you know, Anna, I did this down to the very specifics and it just so happens to work out to be a nice even number, that's okay. But I would be concerned if you're like, yeah, I want to make 200,000. That's different than I sat down, I went through all of my goals. I figured out what it would cost for the down payment for a lake house. I did all the things. Kind of weird. It works out to be 200,000. Okay, that's fine. Okay. So you do want to have clarity on what the actual income goal is with some specifics. And that was the allocation form that we did the last time we were together. So I'm going to pull up an economic model for us to fill out together. While I'm doing that, let me ask you questions, thoughts. How did it go filling that out for yourself, and what questions, if any, do you have? Today's very interactive, so don't hesitate. What questions did you have pop up as you worked on your your allocation forms? Jenny, go ahead.
When I filled mine out,
Mm-hmm.
I cushioned it, like I rounded up in a
Okay.
cushion. Like I would take, there are some very like house payment and things like that. But when I came to recreation, food, I wanted to round up for cushion.
Mm-hmm.
And and as well as like miscellaneous, the education, the tithing, the things like that. I rounded up.
Okay.
Thinking, okay, it's this number. I'm just gonna bump it up to a pretty number.
Okay. Here's the question. Did you bump it up crazy to the point that
Mm-mm.
here's what we don't want,
Yeah.
is in your head to think, I don't really need to make this because I put so much cushion in there.
Oh no, I put
Okay.
cushion in there. I didn't round it up crazy.
Okay.
I rounded up to make it look pretty because I like pretty numbers. So the next pretty looking number.
Okay. I
To
think
make
that's
it,
Go
it
ahead.
just made more sense to me.
Okay. Here's the heart of this
Mhm.
is as you're doing it, what you don't want to do, and I don't think it sounds like you did this, what you don't want to do is round up so much that in your head you're no longer bought into the number on the page. So
Because I
like
know where there's a cushion.
yeah, like if
Mhm.
if I
Yeah, that's
cushion
true.
something by $20,000, I just know me, I would be tempted to say like, well, it's July. I'm a little behind gold for the year, but it's fine because I put in a big cushion anyway, so whatever.
I gotcha.
I doubt you
I
cushion.
didn't put in that big of a cushion.
Yes, because I doubt you
It's
did
not
that.
that big.
Yeah. So I think
Yeah.
as long as Jenny and everybody listening, If you round it up a little bit, I think that's fine. Truthfully, I do that as well. Like just a simple example, I know that my heating and electric bill is usually around 150 average. Sometimes it's higher, sometimes it's lower. I actually budgeted 200 because of inflation, and it seems like it's always going up. So I just put down 200 a month instead of 150. That's not enough of a thing that I'm like checked out of the income goal that I put. So I think that's fine. Yeah. I would rather you do that than to end up a little like having an unexpected expense and then not hitting the goal. Yeah. Anybody else have a question? These are good. And don't be hesitant. There's a lot of people that watch the recording that might wish they could ask and they're not here. So just ask. Who else, if anybody has a question? Okay. Are you all clear on how much you want to make next year? Yes? It's
Well,
not
at this
kids.
point, this year, right?
Well, yeah, this year. You're right, this year. Keeping me right over there. Okay, so I think that what that means is we're good. So grab that economic model and I want you to fill it out with me, okay? Meaning we're all going to do the same numbers. Again, the goal right now is not for you to fill out your economic model. I really think it'll take you about 15 minutes once we do this together. The goal right now is to make sure you know how to fill it out. And to do that and make sure you're actually doing it correctly, we need to do the same one. So, you know, if you have a calculation off somewhere, you can catch it. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to share this on screen. And here's my request. I understand this economic model. I'm also a human and I don't love math. And I also didn't get the best grades in math in high school. So this is pretty basic. I use a calculator. What I'm getting at though is please do this with me for real. Like get out the calculator, do it with me. And I want you to call me out if I made a mistake somewhere because that's important that we all get this correct today. So let me ask you, what's an income goal that you guys would like to use for our example today? Somebody give me an income goal.
150,000.
150. Is everybody good with that? Awesome. Now, obviously, your goal may be higher or lower. Just an example for today. Oops, I just made it 250. Okay, 150. Now on here, it says minus any base pay. And some of you have that, some of you don't, depending on your role. When I was an inside sales agent, I had a small base pay. So if I wanted to make 150 and just say that I had a 30,000 base, that's not what it was, but just example, I would instead put 120 down on here. The goal of the economic model is how much money and what do I need to do to earn through commission? That's what I'm trying to figure out. So anything that I have that's not commission, it's like a set, I get this no matter what happens, subtract that out. Does that make sense to everyone? Okay. So if I earn everything through commission and I want to make 150, I'm going to put 150 right here. If I have a 30K base, I would put 120 up here to compensate for that. So again, it's just whatever is my actual pay. And I'm going to put down that I want 60% of my business to be sellers and I want 40% to be buyers. And that's because I know that if I have enough sellers, one that helps make sure my business is secure, I'll get buyers. So for me, it's always sellers are the primary thing. But I also know I'll get buyers. So I put them in here too. So here's what we're going to do. I don't have blanks, but just imagine there's blanks there. I need to figure out, well, how much money is 60% of 150? So in your calculator, put in 150,000 by multiply 0.6 for 60%. And what I got was $90,000. Is that what you guys got? Okay. And what that means is on the buyer side, I need to earn $60,000. By the way, you all are muted. And when I'm sharing screen, I can't see you as well. Like half of you disappear. Will you all please just unmute if you have something to say or if you think I did a calculation wrong? Because I can't see you if you're like waving at me. Just unmute. We're a small group here. Just talk to me if you need to talk to me. Okay. Now, let me tell you what I like to do. You can do this however you want. What I personally like is before I start to fill this out, I like to put in all of the known information. So do you see the slash? That means divide by. That means I'm putting in data that I know. So let me show you an example. We're going to do the seller side first. I know that my average fee or average pay per closing on average is somewhere around 10,400. So I'm going to put down 10,400. That's the average commission per closing. Then before I do the math, I'm just again going to fill in what's all the data that I know. Well, taken to sold, what that means, by the way, is I took the listing or they signed the listing agreement and then they actually sold. So it could be taken to sold, signed to sold, different terms here. I know that that's 80%. So I'm going to put down 0.80 for 80%. Are y'all tracking with me on why I'm doing it this way? Okay. Then again, before I'm starting to do the calculations, I just want to put in what I already know. And by the way, I know this from tracking. So if you haven't been tracking, today you're going to realize like, ooh, I really want to be tracking. But this should be from session 4 when I taught you how to track with that power tracker. I'm just pulling data out of the power tracker. That's it. Okay. All right. So had to taken. This means I had the appointment and I took the agency. So you could also say had to signed. Had to taken, but I had the appointment. They actually hired me is what this one means. And that one is also 80%. So I'm going to put down 80%, 0.80. All right, set to had. So this means I set the appointment. It actually happened. They showed up. They were there when I showed up, whatever. So I set the appointment. It actually happened. I'll tell you, in a normal market, it's 5%. We are not in a normal market right now. Would y'all agree? Have you all noticed though it's picking up? I'm genuinely asking. There's different markets out there, but I'm hearing a lot of people say like all of a sudden it's picking up. Yeah, you guys are nodding your head.
It's hard
Obviously,
to tell because I was doing so bad before I started this class and had bold, and now I'm doing a lot better. So I don't know if it's me or the surrounding environment.
I think it's probably both. It's probably both. You know what's actually really cool is when you start in a down market, you're cutting your teeth on skill. And then when it turns, you really succeed because you learned in a tough market. It's kind of like if I'm training for a marathon, which by the way, I will probably never do. But if I were to train for a marathon and I wore weights on my legs, on my arms, that's kind of like getting into real estate in a down market. And then when you take those off, you just fly. So I'm actually really excited for you, Paul. I have a feeling you're going to have some fun in the coming months. So set to had. Normal's 5%. That's my goal. I'm going to put down 3% because I don't want to pretend that we're perfect today. So I'm just going to put down a 3%, which is like half, almost half of normal. Because I want this to be a pretty realistic, I'm sorry, I put that in the wrong spot. Set to had in a normal market is 70%. I'm just going to put down 65%. I was on the wrong conversion. I'm sorry, guys. Set to had, I'm going to put 65%. My goal is to be somewhere between 70 and 80. But let's just say that I'm not right where I want to be. That's relatable, right? We have that happen. So I'm going to put down 65. And then down here, contact to set, that's where I'll put that 3%. So what I've done, I'll actually highlight it for you just to make it real clear. What I just did is I went through and before doing any actual calculations, I just dumped in what do I already know to be true? What do I already know to be true without doing any math? So before we move on to do the calculations, what questions or if any do you have right now? We're good?
I want to make sure I took the notes down right. So we've got 80 on the taken to sold conversion, 80 on the had to taken, 65 on the set to had, and 3% on contact to set.
Yeah, and it's just an example. But that is what we have down for our example. Yeah. The deep dive into the tracking and what we actually want is in session 4. But yeah, that's what we have down. So now I'm just going to grab my calculator. Although, any other questions before we go? Okay. Going to grab the calculator and I'm just going to start at the top. So I want to make 90,000 from sellers. My average commission is 10.4, so I'm going to take $90,000. I'm going to divide it by 10,400. And how many units do I need to sell? Somebody tell me. I'm getting hand signals. We've turned into a sign language class.
I have 8.65. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now here's the rule, and a lot of you already did it. We can't sell 0.6 of a house, right? So round up to 9. It's 9 sold. And then clear your calculator. I want you to get rid of the 8.5, 8.6. Because here's why, and I've seen this happen. Sometimes people don't clear the calculator to put in the 9. Then they hit their goal, and at the end of the year, they're like, I'm 1 short, or I'm 2 short. How did this happen? And it's because when they did their calculations, they weren't clearing it. So it's 9. We need to sell 9. So if I take 9, if I know I need to sell 9, and I take or sell about 80% of the people that hire me, about 80% of them actually sell, well, how many do I need to have hire me? So I'm going to take 9, and I'm going to divide it by 80% again. It just happens to be the same percentage. So what that means is I need to take 12 listings. It came out to 11.25, but again, you can't sell 0.25 of a house. So 12 seller listings taken or signed, hired, however you want to word that. Any questions so far? Okay. So clear the calculator, get the 11.25 out of there, put a 12. And I'm going to divide that by 80%. So how many listings do I need to have? If 80% hire me, well, how many do I need to have to get 12 people to hire me? What did you guys get for your number?
15.
15? Yep, that's what I got as well. 15. And that one is a nice even number, so we're going to just leave it at 15. So if I need to have 15 people hire me or 15 people meet with me, well, how many do I need to set? If I'm going to get 15 to actually sit with me and like talk to me, how many do I need to set to make that happen? Well, we're at a 65% conversion. So if I divide 15 by 0.65, that tells me I need to set 24 appointments. And I'm assuming you'll just speak up if you got a different number than me. It was 23.07, and I'm still going to round up. 24.
Okay.
Yeah, 24. All right, clear the calculator, put a 24 in there, divided by 3% contact to set. So basically, if I need to sit in front of 24 or set 24 appointments, well, how many people do I need to talk to set 24 appointments? And that number comes out to 800. What are you laughing at, Jenny? 800. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. I want to know what you're laughing at.
Sorry, I was laughing at 800.
I know, 800. So it's 800 people that we got to talk to sit ultimately in front of 15 to have 12 hire us to sell 9 and make $90,000. Does that make sense to everyone? So we're just working backwards here. That's it. I'm going to talk more about it in a moment, but what questions do we have so far? And how do you guys feel about 800?
It seems like a lot, but I'm sure the next thing we're doing is kind of the 411 and breaking it down into manageable chunks.
Look at you knowing stuff. Yeah, that's what we're going to do. Lisa, Jenny, you both unmuted. What were you going to say?
Same thing. It looks like a huge number. That's for the year. And then
For the year.
what Paul said, break it down. Yeah.
Yeah. So here's something a lot of people miss. Don't do your dividing yet. Don't divide it by 50 or 52. Don't do it yet. What a lot of people miss is here. I want to look at your faces. They think, oh, I'm going to work, 2 weeks off, 50 weeks, divide 800 by 50 weeks. Do you really want to work 50 weeks? Is that your like dream life to work 50 weeks? Because here's the reality. If you take every holiday, that alone is 2 weeks. It's 10 holidays. Well, 10 holidays is 10 work days. That's 2 weeks right there. So if all you do is Thanksgiving, Christmas, just those basic holidays, you're already at 2 weeks. Now, how much time do you want off in your dream world? Like, I know for me, and when I first said this out loud, it was one of those like, I've never done that. I don't know if, can I do that in real estate? Like, could I really take that much time off? But I realized my perfect world is a 3-day weekend once a month. So that's 12 days right there. Guys, think about this. If I want a 3-day weekend once a month, minimum, that's one day a week for 12 months. That's 12 days. Or sorry, I'm saying this backwards. You're hearing what I mean, right? So 12 days just from one day off a month. That's more than 2 weeks. Just from that. And then what about sick time? What about actual vacation? So I like to take 2 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks is my ideal, twice a year. So let's just say 3 weeks because I'm setting up my ideal life, right? So I'm taking one day off every single month. That's 2 weeks and 2 days right there. If I take all the holidays, that's 4 weeks and 2 days. If I actually want to take 3 weeks of vacation twice a year, and I mean in one chunk, that's almost a month off every 6 months. Now I'm up to 10 weeks, 2 days. That adds up fast, right? Now here's the thing that a lot of people don't think about. Please hear me when I say this. Who here is going to family reunion? I would love to see you. Somebody please say yes, because I want to see you. No? You're breaking my heart. I want to see you guys. But think about, are there classes that you go to? I'm not talking this is 1 hour out of your whole day. But are there conferences or classes you go to that pull you off the phone for the whole day? So like when I go to family reunion, I'm working. I'm basically at work, right? But I'm not doing any lead gen calls. I'm running around the convention center. So I need to take that out. That's a whole week of time. Well, now I'm up to 11 weeks, 2 days. Do you see how to think about this? A lot of people don't consider their time off for conferences, and it really jacks them up when they're figuring this out. So let me ask you, if you were to say how many weeks you were actually working, and I do want you to spend time really thinking about this later, but just for now, what's a number? How many weeks do you want to actually work in the year? When you consider vacation, sick time, travel for conferences, holidays, how many weeks?
42.
42? Okay.
Yeah.
So we're going to take 800 and we're going to right now architect our year so that when I'm about to go on that 3-week vacation, I'm not like, I have half as much work or twice as much work to do because I'm about to leave and everything's chaotic because I got to get out the door and I got to make up all my contacts. Nope. We're going to figure that out right now. So if I have 800 seller contacts in a whole year and I'm going to work 42 weeks, just take 800 divide by 42 weeks. And what do you come up with? Anybody?
19.04. Would you round up?
I would, yeah. Personally, yeah. So 20. So we just went from 800 contacts a year to 20 a week. For some people, that's their daily goal. So 20 in a week. Do you see how breaking that down? And we're already calculating an average of 10 weeks off work. All of a sudden, it's a lot more doable, right? Now, we only calculated the seller side, but if I said to you, hey, Lainey, I'll give you $90,000. All that you have to do is talk to 20 people a week. You don't even have to have the best conversions because we kind of calculated lower conversions for some of this. So talk to 20 people a week and then do whatever business comes from that. Like you'll have some appointments and whatnot, but the core activity is talk to 20 people a week and then handle the business that flows out of that. And I will give you $90,000. Would you do that? 20 contacts a week.
At 35
Yeah.
this morning.
You had 30 this morning? That's amazing.
35.
Awesome. There you go. Yeah, it's totally doable. It's totally doable. So this is why a lot of times when we do this activity, agents will say one of two things usually. Why did I not make more money last year? And two, this is a lot more doable than I thought it was. But I think what happens is when you don't have the clarity, you just kind of bounce around. And sometimes I talk to 2 people and sometimes I talk to 20 people and I'm not consistent. And so then I don't make the money that I want to make. I think that's what happens. I do want to show you something cool. So write down 42 weeks, 800 contacts total equals 20 a week. Or 4 a day if you work 5 days. I mean, that's kind of easily ridiculous, right? But let's just say that you were like, you know what? I want to work on set to had. Like I'm already setting these appointments and I just want to have more of them show up. So what if, and I'm going to put it over here. What if we got that to 70%? Okay. And I'm going to still leave this at 3%. I'm not going to make it like everything's improving. We're just going to work on this one metric. Let me show you what happens. So if I need 15 had divided by now 70% instead of 65. Now I only need to talk to 715 people in the year. That's a big difference. 715. And if I divide 715 by 42 weeks, now I only have to talk to 17 people a week instead of 20. All that I did was increase one conversion by 5%. And guys, this is why it's important to track and why this matters, because now when you go to practice, you know what to practice, right? Like, where can I get the most result for my time? Maybe I should work on my set to had because that will reduce how many people I need to talk to, right? How are you guys feeling about this before we do the buyer side? I think it's energizing to see how easy this can be. And guys, we're allowing 42 weeks off. That's amazing. All right, so let's now do the buyer side. I'll go a little quicker because we've done this before now. And let's say my average commission on this side is 8,000. Just whatever reason, maybe I just tend to make a little bit less on this side. And actually, let me bold these real quick just so it's obvious what I'm doing. Okay. All right. So let's say my average commission is 8,000. Let's say my taken to closed, you know, let's say it's 60%. Just again, average is 80, but I don't want to be perfect. I don't want to make this like the most ideal example. So we're going to say 60%. Had to take in, this means I had the appointment, they hired me. I'm going to put 70%. The goal is 80, but I'm going to put 70 just to be, again, I'm an average or a little below average. Set to had, I'll put 65%. Contact to set, I'll put 4%. Again, every single thing that I just put down is below average, just to be clear, because I want this to just be a real, like real life, maybe I haven't figured it all out yet kind of example. So now I'm going to start doing the math, and I'm just going to go and trust that you will stop and interrupt me if I'm doing something with a wrong calculation. So just make sure you're doing this with me. So $60,000 is how much I want to make. 8,000 is my average commission. So if I take $60,000 divided by 8,000, that means I need to sell. My calculator says 7.5, so I'm going to put 8. Clear the calculator, put an 8 down. 8 divided by 60% is 13.3, so I'm going to put down 14. Did I get it right, Jenny? Okay. 14 divided by 70% is a nice even 20. I don't have to round anything. It just came out to 20. So I need to have 20 buyer appointments is what I need to have in the whole year. 20 divided by 65 is an odd number, so I'm going to round up to 31. So I need to set 31 buyer appointments. And if I divide that by my contact to set number of 4%, that is 775. That's funny. It actually isn't too far off from our sellers. Funny enough. Well, 775 divided by 42 weeks is 19. So buyer contacts in this example, 42 weeks. I don't know why that's orange. I'll fix it. Contacts equals 19 a week, which basically is 5 a day if you work 5 days, or 4 a day, I should say. 4 a day. So we're averaging here like 8 contacts a day. And guys, some of you, this might have been your actual goal. You can reveal yourself if you want to, you don't have to. But if you had a goal of making $150,000 and you wanted to be off work 10 weeks total between sick time, vacation, conferences, and all of that, what we just figured out, if you have some below average conversions and your commission is 10,400 to 8,000, you know, obviously there's a lot of variables here, right? Nobody take this and just say, here's my goal. But I think it's pretty cool that we just figured out how an agent who makes 8,000, 10,400, depending on which side you're on, with a whole lot of time off and below average conversions, if they simply talk to 40 people a week, 39 between your sellers and your buyers, that's about 8 people a day, you would make $150,000. Is that not encouraging? I think it's encouraging. Now, Jenny, I know for you, you work on a team and we have other ISAs here. I did not make 10,500 a closing because I'm on a team. So it gets divided a whole lot more. I also had 85 closings my first year in real estate, which I never would have had if I wasn't on a team. So for those of you watching this on a team, don't get discouraged if your average commission is like $400. Because if you're on a team, you probably will have a huge number of closings compared to someone who's a single agent making the full commission, right? So it's if you're on a team, it's not what's the split, it's what's my earning potential. That's what you want to look at. Now, my fear in doing this webinar is I went too fast or somebody had a question and they didn't speak up. And can I tell you a pet peeve? As much as I say, does anybody have a question? We hang up and I'll get like 3 questions in my email from people who were live, not watching the recording, which means you could have asked. And often it's the same question in all 3 emails. So just ask it. Just ask. There are no dumb questions here. So what questions, if any, do you guys have about what we just did?
Will you put that example back up for a second?
Sure. Yeah, and I'll zoom out a little so you can see the whole thing. There you go. It's 150 at the top. I don't know if you can see that. You just put your glasses on. Can you see it okay? Perfect. Jenny, go ahead.
I have a question. I am familiar, because of you, I am familiar with the economic model. And I am curious if it is good advice to break it down, to take this to monthly. Because for me, when I think of like the long game, it's hard to focus because it seems so far away. And
Yeah.
so do you, I mean, you could do this monthly. You just figure out what your monthly income goal is as opposed to your annual.
Well, what I would
Can
do,
you break it that down?
there's a couple different ways you can do it. And yes, and also I recommend that you fill this out way more than once a year because the market will change. When I
Yeah,
said
that's
how
true.
many, like who here is seeing the market pick up, almost all of you nodded your head yes. So what that means is if I did this 3 months ago, it already is going to look different. So I recommend like this is a regular thing. I don't think you need to do it any more than once a month. If you do it too much, you can almost do it too much. I would say at a minimum once every 3 months. You could do once a month if you want to, but I wouldn't do more than that. Back to your question though, Jenny. What I personally would do, just simple example, I would take 24 set divided by 12. 800 set divided by 12. Instead of filling this out with like a monthly, it just seems easier to say, I need 800 contacts total. Well, what is that if I were to divide it out by 12 months? What would that look like? Here's the thing though, Jenny, is where that can mess you up is what if you're working every single day of January and February, but then you're taking a whole bunch of time off in March? So it can throw you a little bit if you do it that way. Does that answer your question?
It does answer my question. I just kind of think about like as an ISA role, some of my appointments take longer to convert than others. So, and I do keep track a lot of pipeline things and an understanding of and also, you know, there's terminations, there's fallout. So I just for motivation, like where am I at, you know, and where do I need to fill a gap? Type of thing.
Well, what you could do, I think, Jenny, you can fill this out once a month and kind of readjust as needed. I think what I would do personally, the way that my brain is thinking about this, is just take each point divided by the 42 weeks I'm working. And then I just know if I'm working this week, I need to hit this number. So if it's, and Jenny, I know yours would be a lot higher in the ISA role, again, because you can do a lot more volume because of that. But let's just say, you know, it's 24 over the course. This might actually look weird because of, you would have a much bigger number, but 24 divided by working 42 weeks is half an appointment a week. So basically every other week I need to set an appointment, which you need to do a lot more than that in your role. I realize you're like 10 a week probably. I don't know what
It's a lot higher for me because my average commission is not 10,000.
Yeah, same here. When I was in an ISA role, I did not make, it was like a couple hundred, maybe sometimes 1,000 or more, depending. But again, I was on a team working 8 to 5 and had 85 houses my first year and made lots of money. Just again, it's just a different way to make the same amount. Yeah. We found on our team, a lot of people made similar amounts in the sales role. It's just some of them worked with 12 people, some of them worked with 90 people, and some of them worked with 85. Just depends on your role and all that. Good. I don't know if I answered you, Jenny, but I think I did. Okay. Yeah. My fear with you doing it by month is if you have a lot of time off in a particular month, it will throw you. That's all. Okay. What other questions or observations do you guys have?
I got a spreadsheet if anybody wants it. I put my email in the chat. Of
Of course you do. I love it.
course I do, because I'm a nerd.
Yeah. And by the way, notice if you are using the power tracker that I gave you in session 4, that will also tell you on a weekly, daily, and monthly basis what you need to be doing. Just notice that. I don't know if you remember that, but session 4, it will tell you what you need to do. The only thing about the power tracker is it's like rolling for the whole year average. So again, if the market has dropped or gone up, that tracker won't necessarily pick up on that real quick. That's the only thing. Good. What other questions or observations do we have? And thank you for that, Paul. Okay, good. Do you all want to work on your own economic model right now and we just have like quiet time for the next 10 minutes? I mean, if nobody else has a question, we could either end early or I could sit here with you and you work on it and I'm here if you have a question.
If we're doing that, can I email out the spreadsheet? Because it makes it super straightforward.
If you want to send that out, or if you want that from Paul, just send him an email.
Fun fact, you can throw it into ChatGPT and it will do it for you. Y'all, I know you're not a ChatGPT
Ooh.
lover, but it's done.
Yeah, I think
So-
it definitely has its place. I'm just old school. Like I'm the person who I told my marketing person the other day, I was like, is there any way I can have a business and not be on social media? Like that's my personality. And I really want to not even be on social media. So yeah, maybe I'm only 42, but maybe I'm old. I don't know. I don't feel that old, but maybe I am. But yeah, I think ChatGPT certainly has its place and where it can really shine. Where I see it not work is when people try to make their voicemail dialogues off of it. It's like, it's obvious a computer wrote this, you know, but I think it's great for a lot of things. Thank you, Lainey. Okay. Well, how about this then? Why don't we end a tad early? Take your time right now and work on your economic model. Paul just put a a thing into the economic or the chat box. Here's what I would say whenever it's a spreadsheet, whether it's one I give you, whether it's one Paul gives you, whether it's one, the head of the FBI gives you, I don't know, whenever you get a spreadsheet, always just double check. It's your responsibility to make sure the calculations are right. So just always double check like formulas and make sure that it's ultimately up to you to make sure you hit your goals. So just double check stuff. Good. Okay. Well, I didn't see anybody say you wanted to stay on here and do it together. If you do, let me know now and I'll hang on for 8 minutes while you fill it out. If not, we'll just end and you can call, you can text, email, whatever. And I'm here. So just reach out to me if you need help with that. And then of course, if you're watching this recording, email me your questions, please. That's totally fine. All right, guys. Man, next session is 16. We only have 3 left. Crazy. So we'll be done the end of this month with the program. So I'm so glad to see you back here today. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm glad to be back at work. Anybody else? I'm starting to feel a little aimless. It's good to be back. All right. Well, Lisa, have a wonderful wedding. Can we know, are you doing like outside, inside, courthouse, big people? What's it look like?
There's just going to be 4 of us. My fiance Dan, his brother is going to be marrying us. He got ordained, so the 4 of us are going to this beautiful inn. So it'll just be the 4 of us, and
that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. And,
yay!
Yeah, so
that's awesome. Well, y'all get me excited that it can happen. So, yay!
I met him when I was much older than you. I was 49.
Yeah, I have a friend who just got engaged. She's never been married. She's always wanted to be. And she just never met somebody like anybody could listen. Anybody can be married today if they want to be, and they're just willing to marry anybody. That's the bottom line. Anybody could be married if they really want to be. But if you are clear on what you want, it can take a while. And she just got engaged at 47 to a guy she met 6 months ago. And they're like perfect together. And the reason they didn't meet is he had been married and she passed 2.5 years ago. So it's like now that you see them together, it's like, oh, this is why you couldn't have met until you were 47 because of the journey he was on. So it's cool. It's always cool to hear how people end up together. So that's awesome. All right. Well, we started with talking about dating. We finished with talking about dating. Happy New Year. All right, guys, I'll see you in the next webinar. Lisa, congratulations. We're really excited for you. Please get a picture that you can show us somehow.
I will.
All right.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.